Good afternoon. I just spending some time with the Lord, and I just wanted to share some things with you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, but I just felt like today on this beautiful afternoon, just felt like God was very active in the lives of His people. You know, I often say this, but I truly believe that today God is in a good mood and is in the mood to bless His people once again. This is our third week of the Daniel fast, and this fast has triggered so many good dynamics in the lives of God's people. I've been hearing some of your stories, and I want to share some of the stories here this afternoon with you. You know, the whole premise of this kind of fast is for you to pay more attention to your spiritual hunger rather than your physical hunger. You're familiar with the term comfort foods. I thought this afternoon, why do we call it comfort foods? And the reason why we call it comfort foods is because we eat it, makes us feel comfortable, makes us feel at peace, makes us feel good, makes us feel whole. And if you really think about it, a lot of those comfort foods is sitting down on the couch watching our favorite television show. And when you really think about it, we eat those comfort foods even without thinking about it. And what happens is we don't consume food, food consumes us. And we're driven to feed the drive, we're driven to feed the crave, and we're driven to feed the hunger. And what this fast has done, at least for me, and I know it has done for many of you, many of us, we've been taught how to make food choices. Like for once in a very long time, it has taught us to stop and read the labels of the thing that we're actually eating. And I've heard some of you say, I'm going to continue this fast, I'm going to modify it, I'm going to continue it because I like the way I feel. And it's taught us how to think about what we're eating, you know, and even make statements like, you know what, I don't really need to eat that. I want to remind you that we eat to live, not live to eat. I want to share a scripture with you. In Psalm 42, verse 1 through 3 by King David, he says, "As the deer pants for the streams of water, so my soul pants for you, O God. My soul thirsts for you, for the living God. When can I go and meet God?" Then he says, "My tears have been my food day and night." You know, the Bible does talk about gluttony, and it's like one of those acceptable sins. We don't really preach against it. We don't really talk about it, but it's just one of those things that has dominated our culture. Food is a very big part of our lives in the sitting down process. But in our Christianity, one way that we can demonstrate that God is your master is by not allowing anything to master you. You know, nothing's going to master me but the master. But we look to those comfort foods and we expect food to console us when it never does. Jesus actually said, "My food is to do the will of the Father." And in our culture, it's about excess. Have you ever been through the drive-thru and they ask you this question? Would you like to supersize that for 49 cents? Everything is big. You go into the Lowe's, you go into Home Depot, everything is bigger. The refrigerators are bigger, the stoves are bigger, the dishwashers are bigger, the portion sizes are bigger, the energy drink, the cans of soda, everything is bigger. It's all about excess. And what the Daniel fast forces us to do, the Daniel fast actually forces us to stop and think. And this is where the whole shifting takes place, because the whole premise about this kind of fast is about that shifting. And it's not only about the physical shifting, because it really is, I mean, many of us have experienced a physical, literal cleansing, but it's also about a spiritual cleansing. The Daniel fast is about stopping and thinking, about modesty. It teaches us that, you know what, I don't have to eat until I feel gorged. I don't have to eat until I feel really full. But not only is there a physical shift, there is also a spiritual shift. The spiritual component is that shift that takes place in our life. And I've said this before, fasting helps you get there faster, okay? And I want you to be able to help, I want to help you capture listening to the voice of the Lord during this fast. And hopefully you've been able to fine-tune your spiritual engines. I trust that during this Daniel fast, not only did you feel better, or maybe some of you lost weight, and it helps you clear your mind throughout the day, the Daniel fast does. But I trust that somewhere throughout the process of your Daniel fast, there has been some fine-tuning in your ability to hear from God. A lot of times we're driven more by our physical appetites than we are the appetites of our hearts. I read this blog today. We love the supper room, but quite we resist the upper room. So it's really important that we embrace the upper room, being in the presence of God, and that we don't allow comfort foods to, food never promised you comfort. God has promised you comfort. Food never promised you peace. God has promised you peace. And I just came out from a restaurant today with some friends, and we were all doing a Daniel fast, and even reading the menu is different. Because now, instead of we're not attracted by the pictures anymore. Well, hopefully that continues. They make everything look so delicious until you get it. It says, this is not what I ordered. But I want you to think about something, that during this process that God has brought you to a new level of hearing His voice, and that you would desire not only to stay on that level and be led by the Spirit rather than driven by life, but you would also exceed and move on to the next level. David says, as the deer pants for the water, he says, where can I go? His interest was in, I want to know where I can go to meet God. And I trust that as we come to the conclusion of our week, to the conclusion of our Daniel fast, you would ask that same question. Where can I go to meet God? Learn how to listen to God's voice, capture that, quick to listen to the heart instead of listening to the stomach. There's two appetites in place here. There's the appetite of the stomach, and then there's the appetite of your soul. He says, my soul longs after God. And when your soul begins to long after God, I trust that you would grow in your venture, and you would grow in your journey with God. Your future is bright, my friend. God bless you.